Hello, I'm Liz Lumley of The Banker, and this is The View from Sibos. And today I'm speaking to Steve Everett, Managing Director and Head of Payments and Receivables at Lloyds Banking Group. Hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you, Liz.
Excellent. So we're going to talk a bit about APIs, which is always a good topic to talk about right at the moment. But API usage seems to be a top priority for a lot of financial institutions. What's driving this trend?
So interestingly, we've just done a market study across more than 100 financial institutions, and nearly 80% came back and said their top strategic priorities to invest in technology, digitalisation. And actually, I think it was just over 75% actually came back and said APIs are one of their top three priorities. So this is real. This is real clients telling us this is definitely a trend. And if I think about the drivers, there's two primary drivers, and we're thinking about financial institutions. The first is actually just in the bank, in the financial institution itself. You know, they're very much looking about how can they improve their internal processes, how can they make it easier for their colleagues, to make it easier for their clients to actually operate, and of course manage their costs and their productivity. So that's within the business itself. But actually, the really exciting piece for me actually is about how you actually use APIs to create better customer propositions for those customers that the financial services firms support. And you know, that increase in productivity internally, but also that improvement in the customer experience, of course, makes any financial institution more efficient, more profitable. And you know, has high NPS scores, particularly both with colleagues and with clients. So they are the real drivers and trends that we're seeing about what's behind the usage of APIs.
So we've now established this doesn't seem to be a trend, that this is a trend. So I'm interested to know about some of the use cases you've seen FIs working on right now.
I've seen an awful lot of activity in the payment space. But actually, it's not constrained to the payment space. What I'm also seeing when I look at my colleagues that work in trade, in asset finance, all looking to use APIs to improve their customer propositions. And if I think about the payments, which I'll obviously highlight, just firstly is core cash management and payments, which treasurers have been doing for many years with their core platforms, where they manage their payables, their receivables, their accounting, their cash flow. Historically, we'd always do that through host-to-host, through Swift, through desktop channels. They actually now want that alternative channel, the API channel, so that they can interact with their banks and their providers through APIs. So, you know, that gives them access to immediate information. It enables them to move money immediately without having to wait for overnight patches, for bulk files, or for somebody to log in onto a system. The ability for them to operate machine to machine, is driving that core cash management and payments need. So it's a welcome addition to what has been the role of a traditional treasurer or accounts payable, accounts receivables function. Then if you start to break down into pure product, particularly on the payment side, we're seeing three areas that we've been developing over probably about 18 months now. The first was actually on the pure payable side. So this is how can we use APIs to enable clients, for example, if an insurance company approves an insurance claim at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, and you're the customer of that insurance company, you've just been flooded out in, you know, the winter weather of what we can get in the UK. How do you get that claim, that money in your bank account somewhere very, very quickly? And the simple answer is, once the claim system's approved the payment, send us using an API payment instruction, and we will then push that money on behalf of that financial institution into the account of their customer. So that's on the payable side, and we're seeing a lot of activity there. On the receivable side, actually, everything that's happened in the UK around open banking, what's underpinning open banking is APIs. And we're now seeing that growth in the use of receivables, where we're pulling money from bank accounts. Charities actually is a very, very interesting sector. We've been working with a charity called United Response, who have their purpose is to look after people with autism, learning difficulties, mental health issues, and actually giving them this capability has enabled them to get a seamless end-to-end customer journey to make it easier for people to donate. It's also, depending on the size of the donation, it's actually cheaper than using cards because of the scheme fees that you see on the various card routes. So actually that's great for them on the receivable side. And then we've started to add in things like what we call information services. So confirmation of payee, actually going out, we use confirmation of payee maybe on our mobiles and our desktops, actually using APIs to drive a confirmation of payee check, using APIs to prompt people in accounts receivables departments that actually money's being paid into their account so that they can then actually move that to the right ledger or to the customer's account within the business. So they're the three, and actually now we're starting to see them interlinked. So do a confirmation of payee check where you're not sure about the beneficiary's bank account details, and then actually use the Pay To product to push the payment immediately once you get a successful hit. So they're the types of things, the types of use cases that we're seeing in the payables and receivables space.
Interesting. Steve, this is fascinating. Thank you so much for speaking with me.
Thank you.